Hi everybody, welcome back to the Seesaw and another week of family meals. Tonight we're starting off the week with pork chops. These are just the pork loin steaks. I've cooked them in the oven, so I just put them on a baking tray with some foil, brushed them with a little bit of olive oil, and sprinkled over a mixture of 2 tablespoons of brown sugar mixed with half a teaspoon each of paprika and garlic powder. Italian herbs and garlic powder, and a teaspoon of paprika, and a little sprinkle of salt and pepper. Sprinkled that all over the top, and I just baked them in a 180 fan oven for about 20 minutes, and then just put the grill on for the last kind of 3 or 4 minutes just to sear the seasoning on the top of them. Then we've got steamed broccoli, some canned sweet corn, and some creamy mashed potatoes with gravy. So that's our start to the week, a pork chop supper. Hi everybody, so it is Tuesday evening, and tonight we've got a simple pasta bake. It's Cajun chicken and bacon, so I've got some chicken breast chopped, some sliced bacon that I just chopped into small pieces, cooked those in a skillet, added some garlic, some onion and some Cajun seasoning, cooked that all through until the chicken was cooked, added a carton of passata, mixed it with some pasta shells that were already cooked, sprinkled cheese over the top, popped it in the oven. 20 minutes later, chicken and bacon Cajun pasta bake. Simple, can change up the flavours to whatever you like. You can just put lots of veggies in it rather than meat. You can use just bacon, just chicken. You could use little pieces of pork. Really, this is such a versatile meal, a pasta bake. A good basic pasta bake you can serve so many different ways. So I'm probably going to just put a little bit of salad on the side of this because I didn't add any extra veggies into it, or as I often do. So I'll probably just have some salad on the side of mine. But that is our Tuesday night pasta bake. Hi everybody, so it's Wednesday evening, and tonight we've got tray bake. We've got some chicken thighs, which are just the regular bone-in chicken thighs. I've got some pieces of chorizo in there. There was also some onion in there and potatoes, just seasoned with some olive oil and some oregano and paprika. I think that was all I put on it, actually. And I've got a little pot of cauliflower cheese that I've just cooked up to have on the side, and I've got some lettuce and some cherry tomatoes as well. So that is quick and simple tray bake supper for a Wednesday night. Hi everybody, so it's Thursday evening, and tonight we have got Mexican rice and fish. So this is just some onion, pepper and garlic sauteed off in a little bit of oil until the vegetables were softened, and then I added to that 2 teaspoons of paprika and a teaspoon of cumin. I added some sweet corn. Now you could either cut the kernels from a cob of corn, you could use some frozen corn. I happen to use a bit of tinned sweet corn as that's what I'd got. Then you want to just stir that all together, and then you want to add a 1.5 cups of rice. I've used basmati rice, I always use that for this sort of dish. I used about 1/3 cup of tomato puree or tomato paste. So a really good few squirts of tomato puree to get that going. And then I used 3.5 cups of liquid, and I used 2 cups of vegetable stock that I just made up with a vegetable stock pot, and then another 1.5 cups of water on top of that. Let that come to a boil, put the lid on, cooked it for 12 minutes, added in this was the saga of the basa fillets that I bought. So if you remember, if you saw the grocery haul, I got 2 basa fillets that were just like raw plain fish, and then I got 2 of the lightly dusted because they only had 1 pack of each, and either would have worked, but they only had 1 pack of each and I needed 2 packs. So when the rice is almost cooked through, I just stirred through some chopped basa fillets, and you can see those are in there. Basa is quite a meaty fish, so it holds up reasonably well. Stirred that through, put the lid back on, and let that cook for about another 5 minutes until the fish was just nicely cooked. If you really want to watch your fish and make sure it's cooked, you can just layer it over the top of the rice and then let it steam and cook, and then just stir it through at the last minute. And then on the top I've sprinkled the lightly dusted basa fillets, which I just cooked in the oven while the rice was cooking. So they took 20 minutes in the oven, and I've just sprinkled those over the top to give us the extra fish in the meal. So people don't often associate fish with Mexican food, but you know, Mexico has got an amazing coastline. Fish is a really common part of their diet in Mexico, and they use it in lots of different ways. So fish tacos are really popular, fish soups and things like that. But I quite like it just done in a traditional rice dish with some fish layered over the top or stirred through. It's really tasty and just something a bit different. So that is our Thursday night fish supper. Hi everybody, so it's Friday night and tonight we're having something a bit different. We're having omelette sandwiches. Now, this is just a simple way to do omelettes if you don't want to faff around cooking separate omelettes for every member of the family. So in the bottom here, you can see I've got the omelette layer. So all I did was I whisked up, I had 9 eggs left in the box this week. So I just used all 9, and I've used, that's an 11 by 7 inch pan. If I had a dozen eggs, I'd probably use a 9 by 13. If you were just going to do half a dozen eggs, you could use like a square 8 by 8 pan. Just something that fits the amount of eggs that you've got. I whisked them all up with a little bit of pepper, poured them into the bottom of the pan, then sprinkled over the top some chopped onions, some chopped green pepper. Popped that in a 180 oven for about half an hour until the eggs were set. Then I put across the top some slices of ham and some sliced cheese. I put the tops of the buns on, or the rolls across the top, and then I brushed those with a little bit of melted butter, and I popped it back in the oven for about 7 or 8 minutes until these are nice and kind of toasty or crispy, and the cheese has melted and the eggs are completely set underneath. So what I will do then is I will cut that into the 6 squares, and the bottoms of the buns are over here waiting for them. So a really simple way to do omelettes in a sandwich for multiple people. I had a little bit of streaky bacon left in the fridge from using it in recipes this week, so I've cooked that up nice and crispy to have on the side. And then in the active fryer we've got some of these salt and pepper ridge chips, which I got from Tesco recently. They are actually really tasty. They're seasoned well, and they've got little ridges. They almost look like the chips being squished down with a fork to give that ridged pattern. So I will insert a little picture once I've taken these out and made it into a sandwich. I will insert a picture so you can see how it comes together onto a sandwich, but it is quite thick and quite deep, and just a really tasty way. It's like having an egg sandwich really, except you've already made it into an omelette. So off to enjoy this on a Friday night. Hi everybody, it's Saturday evening, and tonight we've got a farmhouse pie, which is a bit like shepherd's pie, but the filling underneath is a pork mixture. So I cooked a package of bacon, chopped it up, cooked it in the skillet until it was, you want it to be done as much as you like bacon done. So if you like crispy bacon, cook it all the way to crispy. If you like your bacon soft, then leave it kind of once it gets to that stage. So you want your bacon cooked. Put that into a big casserole dish. You then want to cook off some sliced onion, just as much as you want. The onions we had were really quite small, so I used 3. And just cut them into half-moon slices. Put those into the skillet, let them cook for about 5 minutes until they were nice and softened, and put them in the dish with the onion. Then you want some pieces of boneless pork. You want about 1 kilogram altogether, or 2 pounds. I used some of the ready diced pork from the grocery store. You could buy a big piece of pork and chop it up yourself, or some of the pork steaks or something like that. But you want to cut it into pieces, coat it in a bit of seasoned flour, and then just cook that in the skillet finally, just to seal it and sear it and brown the pork. Pop that into the casserole dish, mix that all together. I then added 3 peeled and chopped apples to that. I added some sage, some salt and pepper. So I used dried sage. You could use some chopped fresh, but I used about 1 teaspoon of dried sage. Stirred that all together, and then I added in a cup of cider, just regular, I used Aspel's cider, and about 1/2 cup of water. So you want about 1.5 cups of liquid altogether. You could use a stock, you could use apple juice, water combination. So you just want something with some flavour though. If you just use water, you'd want to add some more seasoning to it. Then I popped that whole casserole in the oven on a low temperature 160 fan for about 1.5 hours, just to let the pork cook well through. Then I'd made some mashed potatoes while that was cooking. So I topped the casserole with mashed potatoes, sprinkled over a little cheese, and just put the whole thing under a grill, under a broiler or a hot grill for about 5 to 10 minutes to melt the cheese on the top. And we've got that with some broccoli. This is a recipe from Taste of Home, which is an American website. It's just tasteofhome.com. When I first moved to the States and I was looking for ideas of like traditional style, because a lot of the things I liked to cook and wanted to cook, I couldn't find the ingredients for there. So I was looking for more traditional, kind of regular home cooking that American families would eat. And I knew it wasn't all about steaks and burgers and hot dogs. So Taste of Home at the time, there obviously wasn't many websites at that time. We didn't have home computers, but Taste of Home was a subscription magazine service that I subscribed to. It was a monthly magazine. We had loads of really lovely recipes, and the great thing about it is they were all submitted by readers, so it was home cooked food that, you know, the readers would make for their families. And I got some really great ideas from those magazines, and in fact I have some of those magazines still now that I brought back with me. But sometimes if I'm just looking for a bit of inspiration, I go to their website, because it does have more, if you're just interested in kind of what everyday American food might be like, as opposed to you know, the kind of touristy types of food, then that's worth checking out as a website. They've got hundreds of recipes on the website, but this was one from there. So it was Farmhouse pork pie. I think it was Farmhouse pork and apple pie, maybe. But if you wanted to look it up yourself, that's where you would go to find it. So we're off to enjoy this on a Saturday night. Hi everybody, so we're ending the week this week on a roast dinner. We've got gammon. So this is one of the little Tesco's kind of packaged gammon joints. It's not the kind of cook in a foil tray one, but it did have a glaze with it, which was bourbon and maple. So it was just a little piece of gammon. You just cook normally in the oven, and then you pour the glaze over at the end, and it had a crackling layer on, which you don't always get on gammon, which went nice and crispy once I poured the glaze over towards the end of the cooking. So we've got gammon, we've got Yorkshire puddings, mashed potatoes and steamed vegetables. So that is Caleb's, that is mine. And I did have somebody the other day ask, do I ever do any kind of baking? Do I make desserts and stuff like that? I do. I don't do it all the time, because it tends to be where Caleb, as you know, if you watch the channel regularly, just likes to have an ice cream for pudding, or sometimes a yogurt, something like that. He's not a big pudding person. And Tony will have, now and again, have something for pudding. So I don't bake and make a lot of desserts just for that reason. But I have had a baking day today. So I've made this, which is a caramel spice cake. It's a recipe I've had for quite a long time. It's really moist. If I push down on there, you can see that. And it's a spiced cake with cinnamon and nutmeg in it. But I use some canned caramel. So in the States it's called dulce de leche, and here you get it with the evaporated milk and things like that, and condensed milk, and it's a caramel. And I use some of that in the cake mixture, which gives it a really moist texture and really sweetens it up. For a spice cake, it's got a nice sweet tone to it. And then I also made a little Toblerone cheesecake. So this is using my basic no-cook cheesecake recipe. I use this loads of different ways. So you want 200 grams of biscuits with 50 grams of melted butter. I've got shortbread in this one, but you could use Oreos, you could use digestives, you could use any kind of biscuit really to make the base. Crumble your biscuits up, combine them with the melted butter, pop them in your pan. This is about a 6.5 inch loose bottomed pan. And then just put that in the refrigerator to chill for about half an hour until it kind of firms up. And then the filling is just made with 300 grams of cream cheese, 60 grams of caster sugar, and then once I've combined that together and it's kind of whipped texture, then I pour in 150 mils of double cream and keep whipping it until it gets thick, kind of spreading consistency. And then you can stir through whatever you want. And what I've done with this one is I've crumbled up or chopped up some Toblerone bar and stirred that through it. You could use frozen fruit, or you could use fresh fruit. You could use various types of chocolate. You could do, cookies and cream one with crushed up Oreos in it. You can just use the same, or you can just put some vanilla essence or something like that in, or almond extract, and then put a fruit topping on. Just it's a basic no-cook cheesecake recipe that you can use in so many different ways. You could use Biscoff biscuits on the bottom, some stirred through, and then use some Biscoff cream to decorate the top. Just options are endless. Now to finish this, you could drizzle over some melted chocolate, you could put some more crumbled up pieces of Toblerone on it, you could put some squirts of cream around it, just depending on what you wanted it for, if it was for something a bit fancier or if it was just for feeding the family. I'm just going to leave it as it is. I do have some more whipped cream, so if anybody wants some cream on those, they can have. I've also got some fruits, I've also got some more Toblerone bars, so you can sort of make your own. So yes, I do a bit of baking and dessert making now and again. Those are the two options on offer this week. The cake will last us for a few days, as will the cheesecake actually, for a dessert for a couple of days. So yeah, I just wanted to show that, as I did have a couple of people ask me. But thank you for joining us for this week of meals here on the SeeSaw, and we look forward to seeing you back here soon.